You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
I'm telling you, this is a weird book. You always point it out. I'll point it out myself. I thought it was going to be the big book. I think that sure. Every book is meandering a bit to get to the Ultimates, because the Ultimates will build a team. It'll be the one where everybody in the world now sees that they're superheroes. The problem is, that seems to be what they're playing a little. But are you feeling that? Because I'm telling you, going into this Ultimates book, it's a lot of how I feel when I'm reading it and how I'm getting it. This should be the huge book. This is the book where there's actually a superhero team that is actively fighting against the Maker's Council. Way more than the others. The others are, Spider-Man's hanging with Harry a little. You got the paper going, that deal. Black Panther is regulated to Africa where he is and all these, and the X-Men, they're just girls in Japan. You have this book where you have these characters, they're going at it. Never feels big. It never feels set up, and that's my biggest problem in it. And when you get this issue where you you have it. They even say Ultimates Assemble. It doesn't feel like you're there yet. It doesn't feel like we've done enough, because what we keep doing, it's almost like guerrilla warfare, the way they're doing it, but never setting anything up. We go and attack the White House. Midas gets his next snap, and then we move away from it, and it never felt big.
Then we go to Hulk Island.
Yeah, then we go to Hulk Island with the Gamma Kids, with Diaper Neck and, Crab Claws. Really? And the one that's all nerves. It never feels like you ever have settled down to make the team. And even big characters that we know, Thor, Sif, they haven't done anything. They've done nothing. And so when you get together in this big team, it just doesn't feel like you get the idea that it means anything or it's big. And then you get a fight with the Hulk with a bunch of other characters that get thrown in. There's legitimately, I think, the last count, 2,033 characters in this book, and none of them matter. It just ends up being all tropes and yell out names of attacks for no reason, because it just pulls you out. You can't even pay attention. In this issue, at least we get a lot of action, but not much else. And I want to know more about this Hulk, but instead we're just going to, fight and yell out video game fighting moves is really what it feels like.
Basically,
and it does nothing. And here we go. Let's get through this. Dennis Camp writing. Juan Frigeri on art, colors by Federico Blee, letters by VC's Travis Lanham. It is the Ultimates number 6. You start off, you get a bunch of the characters, and they get their titles. And really, Dennis Camp seems, and whether or not you agree or disagree, it still feels like he has read too much of Jed MacKay, and he's now going to give everybody their little nicknames and things 100%. Like that. There's way too many characters. And when you end up getting this evil villain team, straight up out of Jed MacKay's Avengers, right?
Yeah, well, even on this cast page, before we get to that, it says Iron Lad, Tony Stark, Doom, Reed Richards. That's all makes sense. Captain America, Steve Rogers. So it's the code name and then the real name.
It's like Sif.
Then it goes Sif, Warrior Goddess, or America Chavez, Cosmic Powerhouse.
Sif. That's what it should say.
That's what it should say. Or Thor. It should be called Thor Odinson.
Again, I mean, are you getting anything from that? And then the Hulk, Maker's Council member. It's so generic.
No, I just got mad about that and couldn't get past it.
So generic. So we end up where we start off, and pretty much it's Tony, Iron Lad. And here's the other thing in this. He says, we're going to break into this. They're in a restricted area. We're going to get attacked by a lot of hand. They don't. And there's prisoners here. We're going to go because these people have been confined to this area. We got to stop this. We got to grab them. They never do.
Who were the prisoners?
I don't know. I'm guessing that we're supposed to get excited thinking, oh, shit, is Wolverine in there?
Yeah, I was actually at that point pretty excited. Who are these people?
The idea, oh, my God, we're going to get them. We never even hint at anything of it when we go. Also, when they're doing this, you have this team set up. And then once again, we've already set up, Sif, Warrior. Now we have to go through it again. And it's, Captain America, man plus without a country.
I didn't know what that was. Man plus without a country?
Man plus without a country.
He's a plus man?
He's a man plus. He's extra. I don't know. And you go through She-Hulk, protector of Gamma Island. Again, thank God somebody is protecting Diaper Neck. So you end up where America Chavez, amnesiac temporal refugee. Where? What? We didn't learn anything about it. It's just so nothing. this book that it gets me angry. But you end up where Doom didn't go with him. Everybody else didn't. They're even like, man, that's why for the first time I'm assembling the entire Ultimates network. So you have all these characters, and I sit there and like, we know Cap's Cap, Thor's Thor, whatever, but we haven't really dealt with much of Sif, much of Thor, much of any of them, except when they recruit the new Hawkeye, or when we end up having She-Hulk, who's the new She-Hulk on Gamma Island, but we're never getting the deal. And if you're going to play even cinematic, where you should have been setting up these characters so that when they come together, you kind of go, oh man, I hope that Cap gets along with Jim Hammond. I hope that this, but you don't have that. You just have characters in a pose, and you're told we're going to go free these prisoners. Mm-hmm. Never do. Again, I would say that gets pushed aside. They don't even say at one point, like, because they end up going through this gate where they think they're going, and they end up in Kunlun. They end up in heaven, and they don't understand what happened. So all the setup is bullcrap. It doesn't happen. So when they get there, Hulk's there as pretty much Hulk Iron Fist. He says, hey, have some tea. They're like, we don't want tea. She-Hulk goes nuts and goes after Hulk, and like, everything you touch, you ruin. You know, Banner, I'll get you because of Gamma Island, I guess. And, he just levels her with
Atomic Iron Fist.
Atomic Iron Fist, 15 Hiroshima's level. I'm like, I don't know.
They don't even abbreviate level, too, which is weird.
Yeah, and like, it seems a little insensitive, maybe.
It's kind of insensitive. Yeah,
even that, I'm kind of joking, but it is kind of the idea. I don't know what that means.
It just means atomic bombs.
Yeah, you know what it means? I think this is cool to put these down here. Things start going where I just start skipping them because there's too many. Yeah, you have a special move. That's there ain't so special when you get 17 million of them. And even then he keeps, I really thought we were going to have tea. I made the tea for everybody. I made the tea. Then admits later that the tea was poison. He ends up saying, you would have died easier with the tea. Oh, thanks a lot. Nothing goes on in this. I mean, legitimately, they are setting up this full-out Ultimates team to go and get more of the heroes so that they can eventually then go and fight against the Maker in what is now 12 months away. So they're going to do that. That falls apart when they end up in Heaven Kunlun. And then what happens then is yippity-yappity, yakety-yak, and then they get teleported out. Nothing happens except at the end what happens to Iron Lad, because all of a sudden these other people, and I'm telling you, you just saw Bruce Banner, Hulk, Iron Fist just level She-Hulk, just sends her into orbit. And they're still sitting around thinking, I thought he was pacifist. You have Hank Pym who can't get, I read his audiobook. Like, stop with the jokes. This isn't funny. It's not great.
You just killed She-Hulk. I mean, come on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that. You should be fighting now. But they stand around, and they end up, oh, look, there's his disciples behind him. Oh, what are they? Oh, they have some gamma green syringes? I wonder what that is. Like, right there, stop them before they inject. You know what it is. And they inject it and become all hulked out. The only one we know is Fat Cobra.
And this is the page right out of Jed McKay's nonsense.
Decay's beautiful daughter. I'm like, okay, I just read it. I already forgot it. Then you have Bride of 9 World Breakers. Wait, why? I just, it's so infuriating.
Prince of Meltdowns.
They're the immortal weapons of Hulk. This is what I look at this as somebody's ridiculous idea of cool. It's not
poor
cool.
Fat Cobra gets mixed in with this.
I like Fat Cobra. I don't like to shame him like that, but and at least he looks the same. He's got his tattoos. Yeah, the one guy I like. So what you end up having is like you don't give us Hulk. I want to know, like, maybe have him sit down with tea and have him describe things and say, listen, I'm not normally somebody who would go with Maker, but I'm doing this. I deal with the heavens. I'm doing all that stuff. But instead, you get the immortal weapons of Hulk, and this is what I'm talking about. Even when we had She-Hulk, it's a new She-Hulk. You introduce her, but you're more about Diaper Neck and Crab Claws on Gamma Island than actually giving us her.
Hulk is strong enough. He doesn't need this team of people with him.
No, and you end up, America Chavez is in the book, but you ended up setting up as the punchline to a thing, never learned anything about this version. And so all of this is nonsense. It's like window dressing to a dilapidated, rundown building. Like, I don't need that. So you end up where they're just going to fight. So you have Flying Fusion Stomp. Then you have Thermonuclear Thunderfoot. Then I'm like, I just these are bad names. Also, it just sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds like me coming up with punk rock band names or something. The Maestro's Crippling Crescent Kick, like, and that's from that daughter girl. Like, why do you care? And she's fighting Sith, and then you have Doom, and in the meantime, Doom's trying to get a hold of him. The signal goes dead. He learns, oh my God, where are they? I'm searching the network. So he, through this whole issue, is just typing. He's typing things and then finally realizes, he's hacking. He's like, I got to get the signal back. So once he ends up realizing, oh, this must be on a different level. They're not here, they're other way. Let's go through time, space, and heaven and spiritual.
Yeah, good luck with that, my dude.
Yeah, he's like, I'll go Valhalla and also this one. And actually, by the point, in my mind, when he does realize, oh, you never get a eureka moment. It just like, he just finds out. And then you have a timer going. And seriously, anybody think that he's not going to get them? I mean, seriously, the only thing I thought was he was going to mess up and the Hulk was going to come back with him. But, while the Hulk is doing Higgs knife hand strike.
Yeah, the classic.
And Big Bang Phoenix conflagration 18 Hiroshima's level. How big is this? So you end up, it's a big fight. You're getting action. R.I.P. Fat Cobra. Because Fat Cobra ends up and eats Janet. At one point, you have such classic lines from, Hank Pym, Giant Man. He goes, "This is too big for me." Like, really? Like, that's what you're saying?
When you eat the wasp, right? Like, say you eat anything, right? Don't you chew it?
Yeah, she's dead. I don't swallow wasp. I chew it. And it looks like he's swallowing it, right? Yeah. It's not a pill.
Then you don't taste it or anything. What's the point of it?
Yeah, I mean, done. But I love the idea. The dialogue is basically Hank saying, "This is too big for me." And then Janet's like, "You know us, nothing's too little." All right. I wanted Sif to go, "This is too Sif." But you end up where, again, you have Thor. Thor's going against the one guy, but you never really are able to see what's happening. Like, Thor is getting a atom-smashing thunderclap and flying fallout kick.
This Thor is the most generic-ass Thor you could ever have.
Cyclotron Dervish technique takes out Sif, and I mean, who would be able to take that? And then you get picosecond particle pluck is how Fat Cobra grabs Jen and then eats her. But yeah, I like Fat Cobra. I love Fat Cobra.
Yeah, he's all right, I guess.
He was in that crazy deal. Who was it?
I think you and Brandon were reviewing it.
I think it was like, was it Jim Zub who ended up doing that? Maybe. That Agents of Wakanda book.
Yeah.
It was out of the Jason Aaron.
Yeah, you like that one.
Remember when Jason Aaron, every 2 seconds, there was another book that came out that's all he was concerned with. And there was that one. I did like it at first, and then it fell apart. But I did like Fat Cobra. So yeah, he's doing this stuff. And then as they're going, you have Hulk going, and then he uses 2 times Atomic Iron Fist, 32 Hiroshima levels, which I think that the math doesn't equal out, but maybe you can do. So when Janet ends up getting eaten or swallowed, Hank gets mad and he gets real big and he says, "I'll kill you" to Fat Cobra. But Fat Cobra uses the supermassive body block to stop it. And then because this is all tropey bullcrap, you end up Janet where she smashes out of Fat Cobra's stomach like we've seen 1 trillion times.
It's pretty horrific looking, but
it's horrific, but it only lasts 2 panels, and then there's too many characters, there's too many things going on, too many special moves that nothing really settles down. Nothing sits there. Like at this point when Janet gets out, and I'm reading this again, I'm going through it. If you said to me, what exactly is happening right now with Thor, I wouldn't know. If you said, what is Tony doing with that? I wouldn't know, because everything is just thrown at you. It's like goulash of bullshit. And so when she breaks out, this is where everybody's having problems. You end up where Tony does get grabbed then by Hulk, and Hulk ends up just crushing him in. And I thought immediately, if he survives this, that's nonsense. Spoiler, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's like a tin can. He just
what it reminds me of is the last time we saw this in a lesser level was when Tombstone ended up crushing his daughter Janice's helmet and should have killed her. But this actually does deal, and what you should have had is just like blood seeping out of every.
I would have preferred that he pull his arms off. I always like that better.
Something like that. Well, they want him to be dead, but we'll get to that when you go. and so all this is going on. He's about to really, really go, because you end up having She-Hulk She comes in and kind of punches him. She's still mad. It's like she just came back from orbiting Neptune, and she comes in and her hand's just destroyed. I mean, there are fingers flying everywhere.
He like strips it from the bone.
Just disgusting. So at this point, he is about to do karate chop ×3, Hiroshima level 203, about to get her. And that's when Doom finally, because it's down to like 2 seconds. And if he doesn't get them, they're going to die. But he doesn't have all the calculations. But then he gets them. But the thing is, oh no, Iron Lad's dead, because they're ending up as like, oh my God, Doom, you brought us back. Why'd you do that? You're too late, whatever. And that's where somehow in that, I don't know where, because at this point she's about to be chopped. I don't know. She like grabs. It just doesn't make sense.
Look at her disgusting hand.
Yeah, it's just bad. So she picks up Iron Lad. He's dead. I mean, just disgusting dead too. Of course, this mask has to fall off, so we know it. And she's Iron Lad's dead. Now, if anybody remembers, doesn't remember, this book involves some time travel. The whole Ultimate Universe does. Tony didn't want to go, because at one point you even had Doom say, we could just time travel and do this. And they're like, no, we can't. That's not the way we do it, whatever. Because, yeah, they could, but they weren't. But I think that's all they do here. I mean, you know, as a thing, Iron Lad's on the cover, next cover, and I don't think that he was fully dead, but we'll see. But again, it almost is the idea you have to kill a big character to make it mean something. It still doesn't. I'm not really even settled in with Iron Lad, their plan. I mean, basically, he screwed up. He sent back those, but most of the people even said died that ended up getting the call to be heroes.
Yeah.
So I just, in this, I've never been given anything in most of the books, actually, anything to really like care at a level that if somebody goes down, I mean, the only thing I'm going to do is like it's Tony. So we know, and it's Iron Man. But the idea is like, I'm not invested enough, and they haven't made me invested enough to be like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Because I don't even know what they're doing then. You know, we'll get to the maker eventually, and I don't know. I'm not even looking forward to that. That's nothing that I'm sitting here thinking.
But are you
like
looking
that.
forward to Ultimate Universe 1 year in, #1?
No.
By Deniz Camp.
Yeah, he's bad. And he ends up...
Why is he the mastermind behind this?
I don't know. He's also doing an Absolute book. He's doing Absolute Martian Manhunter that looks like garbage, but I'll give it a chance. But he's just not good. He's not good. And again, it's more apathy than anger. It's just, I shake my head. I don't know why you think what you're doing is investing me at all. And again, this is just me. Anybody else, if you love this book, fine. Have fun. You could say that I'm an idiot. I don't care. I do care, but I don't. But for me, this book is just a nothing book in a nothing universe now. I can't even say that I like the Ultimate Universe anymore. All the books are mainly just boring. Everybody's kind of standing around doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man, that's everybody's favorite. I mean, I don't think there's that many people left that'll say it's as great as it was, because you don't even get a lot of Spider-Man in that. Like, you would think at this point you would have some things really churning and going. And you don't, and then in this, you just have your team ready to do something we've never seen together, and you go and get the crap kicked out of you by Fat Cobra, a bunch of whatevers, and Iron Fist Hulk. But what would you give it?
3. 3.
Yeah, I think I'm a 3 as well.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.